Welcome YouTube to Pawn Man. My name's Evan Kale, and I own a gold and silver business. If you guys have never seen this show before, it's a reality show about my job. It's an educational program. It's an entertaining program. I have no idea what's gonna walk through my door today. It could be anything from an ancient Roman coin to a Rolex watch, but I'll tell you guys this much, if the price is right, I'm gonna try and buy it. So strap in and prepare yourselves because this is Pawn Man. Did you have more stuff?
I've got some stuff.
Let me take a peek.
So these are all British 3 pence. Those are kind of cool. There's some older and some newer.
These aren't silver, are they?
Yes.
Oh, they are.
I think they're 90.
Cool. What else you got?
I've got 2 minted pennies.
Okay, yeah, we got 2 little errors here. These are fun. They're 50% silver. They melt at 55 cents each.
Oh.
Post 20, they're 50. Pre 20, they're 92 and a half.
So some are and some are at 92.
So 40, 38, 39, 34, 93. Tell you what, I'll pay double melt on these. So these would be melting at 55 cents. Pay $1.20 on each one. And then these ones, I'll pay double melt. They melt at $1.03. I'll pay $2.50 each, so $7.50. Write this down.
Yeah, no, I think I'll hold on to those.
How much do you want on them?
I don't know. I was thinking they'd be more of a collector.
I honestly am not good with world coins.
Yeah.
So
No, that's cool. That's why I was just wondering.
why don't you give me a price that you're comfortable with, and I'll see if I can make it work.
Boy, I don't know. I was thinking they'd be closer to at least $5 each, but I don't think we're gonna find a spot.
Let me do one thing here, just take a peek. Yeah, 5 would be too high.
Yeah, I better hang on to those. Then.
Okay, that's okay.
This has got a really cool tone on it.
1892 Hong Kong. Oh, that does have a cool tone. Look at that. Nice rim toning.
Yeah, it's got a nice.
Did you have a price in mind for this?
I saw that particular grade probably somewhere between 150 and 200.
I'll take a chance on it for $100.
All right. Tell me what you think about this.
Oh, is this?
A China boat. It's old.
Yeah, I know it is. Is this what they call boat silver?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen.
They could pass it from one hand to the next unnoticed.
Silver has a smell to it.
Yeah.
Smell like silver, smell like lead. So the other kind of boat silver that I have seen, it's like a boat shaped like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a real one. Everyone I've ever seen has been fake. Can you bring me the Sigma, Juliet? Where'd you get it?
I bought it from a friend.
Where'd the friend get it?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
What kind of a friend are we talking here?
Pretty close friend.
Okay.
He thought he was certain it was silver.
This doesn't work on jewelry, but this is enough of a flat surface where it'll tell me. And at 99, 3 nines, I don't get a reading. Sterling, I don't get a reading. Coin, 90%, I don't get a reading.
Uh-oh. Might have a fake.
Again, I've never seen a real one.
Yeah.
The age, like it does look like it's like actually old. So what you could do, if you wanted, you could leave it with me and I get it checked out. I don't have the equipment to go any further than what I just did.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, that's all I can do because I can't get an accurate reading on this.
Sure.
Yeah, I have really rudimentary equipment here. So when I get stuff like this, I have to bring it to a refiner.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have to do with that piece because this is what. If this was pure silver, it would be 10 troy ounces. Okay, so one thing that it does have going for it, it is exactly 10 troy ounces. So that is a good sign. I'd probably buy it at $2.90 if I was a buyer of it. But I can't determine if it's silver or not.
Right.
So if you want, I can get it. You can leave it here. I can get it checked out. I can Venmo you if you don't want to come back or give you cash. Or if you don't want to do that, you just want to take it, that's okay.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking at that.
You got
I'm kind of being stubborn, I know, but.
You got a trade dollar. This is the most commonly fake coin I come across.
Yeah, it's legit. Okay, look at your one.
Do you have a price in mind for the trade dollar?
I was thinking 150.
I'll do 150 just because I can make a video out of it. I love getting these in. These are some of my favorite US coins.
Yeah.
So 150 is good. All right, so let's add up these coins that we are gonna buy. So 372 minus 35, gonna be 337. Go. So for 340 bucks, this is what I got. A full tube of wartime nickels. I paid $1 each. They melted almost 2, so I'm basically doubling my money here. I'll get at least 30 bucks a bar on these. I paid 25. Paid 30 on this, I bet I'll get 50. I paid 13 on each of these, I bet I'll get double. I'll probably get 20 on each of these. These melt at 360, I paid 3, so I'm making 60 cents per. Yeah, this is a fun deal. I bet I'll make at least $100 off of this whole deal. So just kind of going over, this is what I traded a gram of gold for. A lot of boomer shit, quote unquote. I mean, we have a Republican lifelong member, like token challenge coin, I don't know. Exonumia. Another piece of Exonumia, I bet I'll be able to get 10 or 15 on this. I bet I'll be able to get 10 or 15 on this. Most of these gonna be probably 5 to 10 range. I might be able to get 10 or 15 on these. These are gonna be in the $15 to $20 range. After my eBay fees, I'll probably get about, I don't know, maybe $85, $90 more than I would have gotten for that gram of gold. So this was a good trade for me. All right, I got some remote buys to open up. So this is what? It's my 9/11 recovery coin that I way overpaid on and ordered so that I can make a video because 9/11's coming up. Yeah, this survived the 9/11 attacks.
Really?
Yeah, it was recovered from the World Trade Center.
Did the World Trade Center have like its own?
So what people don't know about 9/11 is it's actually one of the largest property destructions or acts of like property destruction of all time, just because of all of the valuable shit that was in the towers themselves. Mm-hmm. There's conspiracy theories that it was the largest gold and silver heist of all time. Conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But what happened was a lot of these vaults went down with the towers and they dug them out in I think about December was when they reached it, so about 3 months after the attacks. Mm-hmm. They're just buried in the rubble, all these safes, but they weren't destroyed. And so they opened up these safes and they found a lot of these in there. So all the coins that were recovered were slabbed, mostly by PCGS. A couple other sham grading companies jumped on the bandwagon and certified as being from the recovery. So if you ever see a coin come in with an American flag on it that says 9/11 recovery, you can way overpay on it because they're super hot. I think these coins are going to shoot up in value now too. It's partly why I didn't feel so bad paying. Fuck, what'd I pay on this thing? Like 200 bucks? All right, so that's that. Second thing. Thanks for the interview. Spread the love. It's the Brooklyn way. Enjoy the challenge coin. Oh, from Charlie Mack. You guys remember I did an interview a couple weeks ago with Charlie Mack, and he sent me a stack and NYC patch. Sweet. Charlie Mack, spread the love. It's the Brooklyn way. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, sweet. Oh, wow. He sent me a 20-year 9/11 challenge coin. Oh, that is so nice. Thank you so much, Charlie. That is so nice. I will not sell this. I'm going to keep this in my store forever because I like 9/11 stuff. Actually, kind of perfect timing. I got these on the same day. 9/11, 9/11, 9/11, nah. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. All right. Charlie Mack. Thank you, Charlie. Okay, Adam Lancaster. Mr. Adam Lancaster sent me. Did I already pay for this stuff? I already paid for this stuff. I gotta pay for this stuff. I got a Silver Eagle, another one. Franklin, another Silver Eagle, another Franklin. A graded Ike, 73. A silver in the box Eagle from 2000. A Canadian half dollar. Paid $165 on this stuff. I bet I'll make $25 on this deal. Finally, this is a, holy shit. Oh, perfect. I just sold this diamond ring last night and now I have one to replace it. I wonder how much money he wants for this. There's a young person in Colorado who has been, both these rings came from him. think he goes to garage sales or something. I don't know where he gets the stuff. He sent me this diamond ring with pretty big stones. 4.4 grams, 14 karat. That's at 139. See if he wants 260.
That was nice.
Well,
You are blinged up.
let's see what he wants. To be continued. I just sold this on eBay. I had no idea what this was. A history buff bought it. Apparently this depicts the second lunar rover made by the USSR. I got a bunch of these different pins from a follower. I traded him for a 10-ounce bar a couple of months ago. And he sent me hundreds of these pins, and I've got each of them up for between $10 and $50 on eBay. So potentially good profit. Once I sell all of them, it's gonna take a while. They're not exactly selling quickly, but a lot of cool Soviet stuff. And I got 37 bucks on that one pin, so not bad. Over the weekend, I wasn't here. I had Juliet in here for me, and she bought this vintage Lenin flag. She paid $200 on it, and I'm not thrilled that she paid that much, but whatever. Number one, I was grateful to have the day off because it was my first full weekend off, and I don't remember how long. Number two, I bet we'll break even on it. Number three, 200 bucks isn't the end of the world, but she was like, I bought this cool flag. I was like, cool, how much did you pay? She said, 200 bucks. I was like, you did what? Maybe I'm wrong. We got it up on eBay for $350. Maybe it'll sell, but I feel 200 is a lot to pay for a flag, even if it is a really cool vintage old flag. Also with that deal, she bought these Soviet pins. I don't really know anything about them. I'm gonna have her do the research on these. She also bought all this antique jewelry. This is what I'm selling it for. This I'm pleased with. This is nice stuff. But alas, she went back to Kansas City to visit her family, so I'm here by myself right now. And I'm gonna pack this up. And I'm really tired because I had a long weekend. I mean, look at me. Somebody wrote, I posted a video this morning and somebody wrote, Pod Man, looking a little rough. This freaky thing's going out too. This is an American Girl doll. Apparently these are highly collectible. I had no idea. Like a 14-year-old girl came in here with her mom. The lady actually who thought the painting over here was Stalin. This girl, she sold this to me for 30 bucks. I got 38 on eBay plus shipping. Making like $2 on it, but glad to get rid of it. This thing creeps me out. And somebody bid this thing up already and didn't pay for it, so I've had this thing sitting here for a couple weeks. Now, we got this little piece of scrap coming in here, just ends of necklace that aren't being used anymore. We'll just go ahead and make a little mark here. Just like that. Now we'll take the 14 karat acid. Apply. And that is holding for sure, so that's genuine. This one might be 18 karat. Placed on the scale. 14 is 6.6. You got 150 bucks.
I'll take it.
Alrighty, I just need a form of ID. All right, so let's go over this really quickly. So this piece here is 14 karat, 6.5 grams. I paid 150 for this whole deal. So this piece alone melts at 220. This piece is 18 karat at 2.2 grams. This piece melts at 95.70. So making easily $165, just like that. Not bad. Now, she came in here and said, what did she say? I don't know what I have, or I don't care what I get?
Yeah, she also said it's not much.
No, yeah, she came in assuming that it was crap. And when you come in assuming that it's crap, sure. I got these Saddam Hussein notes in a big deal yesterday. I paid $43 for the whole deal. It came with a whole mess of currency. This stuff is pretty inexpensive, although it's really cool. Retail on these is only a couple bucks a note, even though they are in really good condition. Couple fun facts about Saddam Hussein. Did you guys know that he penned a best-selling romance novel called Zaba and the King? It was eventually turned into a musical. What's especially interesting about that is because he's Saddam Hussein, obviously the CIA spent a lot of time keeping tabs on him and looking into him. And they had to look into this because it was an important thing to know about him, that he had written a romance novel. So the CIA concludes that they're pretty sure, at the very least, he had quite a bit to do with the writing of it, even if he didn't write it himself and had a ghostwriter do it. He was heavily involved in the creation of it. I ended up getting $43 for this lot here, and I paid, I think, $46 on the entire lot. So just on this, I basically made my money back, and I still have a lot of stuff to sell yet in this lot. Let's talk really quickly about fake Rolexes. And I've talked about them before, but I got two in front of me right here. So I guess now's a great time to talk about them. Now, when you are looking at a Rolex, it's gotta be perfect. It's like a Rolls Royce. Everything has to line up and be super crisp. So an easy way to tell if you get something like this Does the date here line up with the center hand? Does it perfectly line up? Is this perfectly in the center here? Is everything just in a perfectly presentable way? If it's not, if you see anything that looks a little bit off, then it's a dead giveaway that it's fake. Because they do not make these a little bit off at all. There's no such thing as error Rolexes. The Rolex is made to be perfect. So again, in looking at this one, long story, this belongs to my neighbor, and the neighbor, how do I put this? Needed some cash. So I gave him a small loan, a very small loan, like $200, and he gave me his Rolex, and I'm checking this thing out. I'm looking at it and thinking, son of a bitch, this thing is fake. And I wonder if he knows that it's fake. I don't think he does. And again, I could tell this is fake because I just did the simple test. Does this perfectly line up here? It doesn't. You can see it's a little bit off. If you're looking straight down on this, the date here is not perfectly centered. It's raised a little bit high. And because it's off, that was my first big indicator that it was fake. Second indicator was these diamonds aren't real. Now, I didn't even do a gold test on it because the amount that this guy wanted to borrow from me was so small that it was just like, fine. You know, I'm not in the money lending business. I didn't do that in a business capacity. I did that in more of a personal capacity. But no, so I'm looking at this guy's watch and like, you know, the guy, if you know the guy, he kind of seems like he's full of shit. So it would kind of make sense that he would have a full of shit watch. Yeah, but so the diamonds aren't real. This thing isn't lined up. But the easiest way, the most simple test that you can do is a wrist test. Let me take off my G-Shock. And also, you guys will notice I was wearing a Rolex for a while on the show. Very similar to this one. That Rolex was fake. I knew that was fake. I just wasn't telling anybody it was fake. But it broke, and I got it repaired, and it broke again. And it's like, I'm not gonna keep putting money into a fake Rolex. Like, it cost me $50 to repair it the first time, and the second time I just said, fuck it. So what you can do though, a simple test is put it on, and this one doesn't perfectly fit on my hand, but see that? See how it just popped right off like that? A real Rolex is not just gonna easily pop off. It's made, I mean, it's not a G-Shock, it's not meant to be thrown off a building, but it's for sure gonna be durable enough, its parts are gonna be high quality enough where a simple shock like that shouldn't snap the band off. So just in that, I can tell you that it's fake. On top of that, you see how heavily it's sagging? Now you can have a Rolex that is worn down like this, but just looking at it, if it's worn down like this, even if it was a real Rolex, you could way shave off the price you're gonna pay just for the sagature. And that is my very brief segment on Rolexes and just easily spotting a fake. Also simple trick, do a gold test. They make these out of 18 karat gold. So if it doesn't pass the gold test, then, you know, it's not good.
This hat, I've told you guys my 20s was all about trying to get into the film industry and fucking failing at it. And this hat is from one of my many failed projects. I found it in my closet. I forgot that I had it. Kind of expensive. I don't know if I'm gonna sell it or if I'm attached to it or not. I'm definitely not going to wear it. It's very obnoxious. Frankly, not very comfortable. Jonapa, 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 Gaza. I didn't sleep much last night, if you can't tell. Ma'am, little lady. I have a business to run, excuse me. Books. Oh my. Art books.
Dali,
Salvador Dali, my favorite artist.
oh, can I sit?
Yeah, of course.
My back.
And,
Kill me.
chair wouldn't be any good if you couldn't sit in it. It's great. Okay, so we got a Salvador Dali art book, a Caravaggio.
It's very old.
Okay, I'm seeing $6.50 online.
Oh my god.
Seeing this one, $10. So I would buy I'd give you $20 for all your books.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No.
Yeah.
This very famous discussion. Check this.
This one looks kind of nice. I'll look at this one here. Yeah, I can't determine a price on this. Okay, so for the lot, I mean, like I said, like this one, I could probably get like $10 for it. I could probably get like $10 for that. I could probably get $10 for each of these. I gotta mail them. So I'd give you $40 for everything. That's all I want to be
1,
into
2,
this
3,
for.
4, 5. No, it is 5 books.
I just don't want to be into it more than what I said. $50.
55.
50 bucks.
55.
50 bucks is my final offer. So I'm firm at 50 bucks. I can't go any higher.
Okay.
We got a deal?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me get you cash. So
We've done a couple deals with him, and he's very difficult to work with. And like, I was willing to just be like, okay, take your books and leave. And he came down to my price. I wasn't gonna even go up another $5. Yeah, this stuff isn't worth nearly what he thinks it is. I happen to really like Salvador Dali, so I'm gonna just keep this book for myself because I'm gonna look at it. I'll probably get like 15 bucks for the 3 of these. This book here, he wasn't lying. I gotta look into, I don't even know if I'm holding it upside down or not. I gotta look into more what the name of the artist is, because I like literally this book is in Russian. He's like, there's English. No, there's not. But this, I can just tell this is like one of those like limited edition expensive books. I bet I get my money back on this, and I bet the rest of this is profit. I'm not gonna make much on this deal. I'll make probably, best case scenario, maybe 50 bucks. But he'll come back. I just gotta not overpay for his shit, and now I know how to deal with him. I think that was actually the most like negotiating I've done with anyone since I opened up my own store. All right, so now we got some books to list.
So if it seemed like I was being a jerk to that Russian guy, it's because he's been in here a few times and I need to set a precedent with him. That guy, I have overpaid on stuff, and I have allowed him to talk me up on stuff, and he's been very friendly, but he clearly smells blood in the water now, and now he's gonna be coming back here trying to take advantage of me. The other week he was in here on a Saturday, I wasn't in here, it was just Juliet, and he got Juliet to overpay on some stuff. I mean, it's cool stuff, like this Lenin flag. Antique, I think it's from the 60s or the 70s. It's worth about 200, 250, but that's what he got her to pay on it, and we're not in the paying for what stuff is worth business. We're in the buying for 50 cents on the dollar max business, because that's how we make money. So, you know, I had to be firm with this guy because it's like, you know, he's gonna keep coming in here, and I'm not running a charity, I'm running a business. There was a guy at the last shop that would come in. I didn't ever want to do a deal with him, and the old man kept being like, okay, and like this guy would just bring us fucking crap, and he wanted money for it, and I was like, no, go somewhere else. We're not running a charity. And then he'd, you know, start complaining about how hard times were for him. And it's like, okay, sorry, that's terrible. But we gave him, what's the kids thing? You give a mouse a cookie and then they want 3 and then they want the whole bakery. It's like that. So I had to be really firm. And again, I got my price with the guy. So I'm gonna make money on the deal. And frankly, I still did him a favor at 50 bucks. You know, where else is he gonna be able to sell those books at 50 bucks around town? There's not a long list of people wanting to buy them.
All right, so I just got this package in the mail from my follower, Matt Hinkle. Matt, thank you so much for sending me this. I know what it is, but we're gonna do a little unboxing video because you don't know what it is. It's an unboxing video. Hard to open it up with one hand. So these are some of the most incredible challenge coins I've ever come across. There are some very big deal challenge coins in this lot here. This one I think is the coolest. But this is Vice Presidential Protective Division, United States Secret Service for Dick Cheney. It's an NSA challenge coin. Donald C. Winter, Secretary of the Navy. This one's not expensive. Joint Chiefs of Staff. General Peter Pace, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. One of these is worth like 200 bucks, and the rest of them are worth anywhere from like 20 to 40 in that range. This one's like 10. I want to say I paid $280 for this whole lot, and I honestly felt bad, and I kind of didn't want to buy it because it's like the guy who sold this to me earned these coins, but he, I guess, said he just wants to move on with his life, and he just wanted to sell them and see me share them with the internet. So these are some incredible modern challenge coins from the 21st century. Here on Pawn Man, we've already covered challenge coins in an episode. If you haven't seen the episode Rise to the Challenge, I think it's episode 23, go check it out. But basically, challenge coins are coins given by an authority figure in a military unit or a law enforcement unit to the people that work under them in the unit, whether it be to commemorate their overall service in the unit, or a certain event that happened, or a certain person or figure that was associated with their unit. There's a whole fascinating mythology about where challenge coins come from. But you gotta go check out that episode, because I'm not gonna repeat myself. Holy crap, I'm having such a busy day. Here, I got my haircut in between shots. But I already have all these challenge coins sold. I paid $280 for the lot. I sold them for $360. I probably could have asked more, but quick profit is a-okay by me. I am a little sad because I kind of wanted to keep this one. I wanted to keep. These are really cool, but alas, I'm running a business, and what's the motto? A profit is a profit. Back to it. So I got something to unbox. You guys are ready for this unboxing? This is my birthday gift. What could it be? Oh yeah. Beautiful. So at one point I was good enough with a sword where I could flick a coin in the air, cut it mid-air with the sword. I'm not gonna cut it in half, but I am gonna hit it. Or I'm gonna miss. Huh. So actually, that's a pretty good sword to do that kind of damage in a free-floating dime, just hitting it in the air. I'm pleased. All right, guys, for the informative part of this episode, we are going to be talking about the katana, the samurai sword. For those of you guys wondering about the episode title, my middle name is Berman, so Bushido, Berman. I don't like my middle name. Anyway, interestingly, you guys, I majored in Japanese studies at the University of Minnesota for my undergrad. I was way coked out on Adderall. I had this insane grandiose idea of what I was gonna do. I was trying to get into writing screenplays, and I was gonna be the person that Hollywood was gonna call every time they wanted to adapt a Japanese cartoon, and I just thought that was gonna work out perfectly. Basically, like, all of my 20s was about making insane ideas that didn't pan out, but ultimately delivered me to where I am now. So, the samurai sword. Another reason why I majored in Japanese studies, minus being coked out on Adderall, is I have had a love of all things samurai for probably since I was a teenager, since I first started learning about the samurai. I think since I saw Samurai X, the anime. So this weapon here, this killing tool, I would argue this is one of the most culturally significant items in all of human history. A killing tool. What does that tell you about humanity? The samurai culture is something that it's as recognizable, I would say, probably as McDonald's. You would be hard pressed to go anywhere in the world and say the word samurai and somebody doesn't know what you're talking about. It is that culturally significant, it is that famous, it has made that much of a lasting impression, despite the fact that the samurai have basically been extinct for about 150 years. So where does this weapon come from? Well, interestingly, again, there is a bit of a chicken and egg as to where this comes from, because the Koreans claim that they invented this sword, and the Japanese claim that they invented this sword. And written records were not that well kept, so really, whoever made this sword, it is unknown. It is derived from Chinese weapons, that is for certain. But who made it first, the Koreans or the Japanese? Not entirely known, but what is known is the Japanese, even if they didn't make it, they certainly perfected it. Now, I have mentioned I've done martial arts. I'm a first dan in Kumdo, which is Korean sword fighting. It uses this sword, this exact sword, the one blade samurai sword, where the blade is only on one side. The reverse side is hard, not sharp. And the principles that I studied, the martial arts principles, are very, very similar to Kendo, formerly known as Kenjutsu, which was the killing art, which we'll get into in a moment. But the Japanese, they do things a little bit differently, and frankly, their way of doing things is a lot more interesting. And like I said, even if the Koreans did invent the sword, and those of you who know history, you're going to have an opinion one way or another, and it's very severe, I'm sure, if you're educated about the subject. Just lay off in the comments section. It's really chicken and egg, I would go so far as to argue. But if you really passionately believe one way or another, Korea or Japan, then just slow your roll. Now, what I'm not going to do for this is talk about the history of the samurai. The reason being, it is an immensely complex subject. There's no fucking way I could fit it into this informative segment, and I wouldn't do it justice. And I'm sure a lot of you know a lot about samurai anyway, because they are such a famous mythical lore in history, that I would just probably be repeating a lot of information you already know. What I want to focus on here is where this weapon came from and the collector market on it today. So the first katana, if you will, had two sharp sides. Like I said, it was derived from Chinese weaponry, Chinese swords. But at the end of the 10th century, Japan severed its cultural ties with China and became its own isolated nation. In this nation, they established their own sorts of social classes, one of them being, ultimately, the samurai. Legend has it a man named Amakuni was the first person to invent this particular style of sword with one blade, or with a one-sided blade. He did it around 700 AD. He noticed that warriors were coming back from battle, particularly against the Mongolians, and their swords about half the time would be very badly damaged or altogether broken. So he wanted to make a sword that was indestructible. Finding the best iron sand ore,
he set about making a new kind of sword with a curve. This curve made it optimal for cutting. Now, because there were no records kept, it is unknown how Amakuni died, but it is said that he never died, that all of the blood spilled from the weapons that he created made him immortal. I don't believe that, it's just cool. Now, as this weapon becomes more commonplace, as more sword makers start to make it, we get the warrior class of the samurai becoming distinct, and we get the art of Bushido, the way of the warrior, the cultural uniqueness that is the samurai, a doctrine of courage, loyalty, honor, respect, bravery, but above all else, loyalty in serving one's master. That's what samurai means, to serve. The samurai were the warriors that served the ruling class, and their entire existence was about doing right by their master like a loyal dog and dying if need be. I would go so far as to say that perhaps in all of human history, there has never been a social class so obsessed with death and so willing to just toss away their life without a second thought. Any samurai that you asked, if you asked them to fall on their own sword for their master, by the time your words left their lips, they'd already be in the air with the blade facing them. They gave it no second thought. Also, put this away and not wave around a weapon, because there are people walking by and they're giving me very weird looks. Now, these swords became so part of the samurai identity that it completely encompassed their lives. When a samurai was born, a sword might be presented to them at birth. A sword would somehow be present on or near the time of their birth, and at death, if a samurai lived out an entire life, or if they honorably killed themselves, they could be and would often be buried with their swords, a lot like the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, how they would be buried with their possessions. The samurai weapon combo consisted of the katana, the long sword, and the wakizashi, the short sword. This was known as the daisho combo. You might want to think of it like how a cowboy might have a long gun and a pistol. The wakizashi was meant for defense. It was kept around the samurai at all time. They often slept on them, or it was under their pillow. Also a tool used for ritual suicide. Samurai would also carry something known as a Tonto knife, a knife about yay big. Not always though, just sometimes, just another weapon in their arsenal. The katana was more for battle. It was a long sword. It was also used for ritualistic beheading. I'm sure all of you are familiar with seppuku. If you are not, it is the act of ritualistically killing yourself. It is a two-person job. The person killing themselves kneels, takes the wakizashi, slits their stomach in a U-shaped fashion. If done correctly, all your organs will fall out and you should die pretty quick. But an honorable trusted friend, just in case, is there to behead you. So you go, you feel it for a couple seconds, and then they take your head off. Now, from this incredibly complex culture that I'm simply glossing over the surface, we have kinjutsu, the art, the martial art itself of the warrior class. Now, my senior thesis, if you guys are really interested and you want to dig deeper, I can't recommend this book enough, Hagakure. This was written by a samurai, for a samurai, about 350, 400 years ago. I forget what year exactly. I want to say like late 1600s. This is a culmination of the complexity of samurai culture. Really, it's largely a book on masculinity, in my opinion. That's what I wrote my senior thesis on, how this is a plight for samurai to be men. Interestingly, Yamamoto Tsunetomo hated kinjutsu, hated the idea of martial arts. To him, there was no art in killing. A samurai killed the same way as a bird flies, as part of its nature. There's nothing showy or glorifying about it. A samurai should simply do their job and die an honorable death. That is the best way for a samurai to live out their life. Anyway, back into our timeline. Masamune is known as the greatest katana maker of all time. He saw that a sword needed to be able to withstand anything, and he still found the practice of making the samurai sword to be an imperfect technique that he wanted to perfect. So he took 4 metal bars of soft iron to protect the blade from breaking, and added 2 iron bars to keep the steel from bending. He heated the blade to 2,500 degrees, hammered it, and then cooled it in water. Now the inner blade contains carbon, and the carbon contracts to form the curve. What he started was a process of about 33,000 layers, 34,000 layers to these swords. When the blade was done, it would be grinded and specially polished, and a Shinto priest would bless it. And herein is where you enter the golden age of samurai swords, the time period where if you have a multi-million-dollar sword, it's probably going to be from the 13th to 17th century. And this is the time where Japan gets, it's pretty interesting. For one, when a new sword is made, they have to test it. And how do they test it? They either cut dead bodies or they practice on live prisoners. And there are records kept of what was done to these people. Take a look. What was typical for a new sword was being able to cut through 2 or 3 bodies. The record is 9. Alas, though, the samurai culture did not last forever. In 1868, the Meiji era came about, and again, I'm just glossing over Japanese history here so lightly. The samurai went extinct. Japan wanted to modernize and compete with the West and become a major power like the West, and the Meiji era was out with the old, in with the new. In with electricity and guns and modern capitalism, and you have Japanese people not wearing hakama and haori, now they are wearing business suits. And in 1904, they kicked Russia's ass in a war, and again, I'm getting into something that is overly complex and I don't want to get into it now, but look up the Russo-Japanese War of 1904. It is fantastically interesting. Japan really changed its tune in a hurry. Inside of about 40 years, they just completely modernized. So you have swords, the way of the samurai sword, taking a back seat. Sword makers start making Western style swords. But then around World War II, Japan gets really nationalistic, and the samurai sword becomes part of the Japanese uniform. It's a symbol of the Japanese army, taking pride from tradition and putting it on the modern battlefield, quote unquote. But after Japan loses the war, you have the supreme commander of the Allied powers, General MacArthur, coming in, and he confiscates all weapons. Some 3 million swords get confiscated, and their age, the fact that they're antiques, that they're culturally significant items, that they're national treasures of Japan, you can give a flying fuck. He takes it all. And so there's a massive exodus of samurai swords from the country of Japan. Japan has never had lesser swords in the country than outside, and this was a time period of that. A lot of these swords went over to America. Now, this prohibition ended in 1953, but at that point, you have so many swords that have left the country and are never coming back. They're in private collections. They get lost in the mix. You also have the collector market starting to form on these weapons, and over the last, since the end of World War II, the market has only gotten stronger. Today, a samurai sword from, pre-Meiji era can go from anywhere from a couple thousand to a couple million. When looking at an antique sword, if you take apart the handle here, it is complex. I'm not gonna do it. I frankly don't even remember how to do it, and I don't wanna, I'm actually gonna practice with a sword, so I don't wanna make a headache for myself. I already have enough to do today. If you take apart the handle, whoever made the sword, they will have signed their work in here where the blade, because the blade comes all the way up through here. The sword is held together by these pins. So you can see the maker of the sword in here. But when you're buying a weapon like this, an antique weapon, you gotta be aware of counterfeits. You gotta look for things that are traditional, original pieces. It's like buying a classic car or a classic gun. Has anything been taken off the sword and replaced with something modern? Is it meant to look like a real sword, but it's actually just a replica? There was a guy on Pawn Stars when I was doing the research for this episode. The guy thought that he had $1 million sword, and they called in their sword expert, and the guy's like, no, this is a reproduction that was made in China in the last 15 years. So you have to be very careful. Certificates of authenticity don't mean anything. Anyone can fake them. This isn't something that I would monkey with. If somebody came in here with a weapon like this trying to sell it, I would have to call in an expert. I would not feel confident enough buying it. They make so many counterfeits, and I repeat myself all the time on Pawn Man talking about this. Counterfeit goods are a multi-billion dollar business. For anything out there, there's counterfeits, especially something expensive like a samurai sword, especially something as recognizable and popular in the pop culture lexicon as a samurai sword. I want to conclude this segment by talking about a legend, Honjo Masamune. It is a sword maker who, if you find one of his swords, I'm talking like $5 million. There is a lot of collectors think that the Honjo Masamune sword is here in America and was confiscated after World War II. It's sitting in someone's collection. Again, it's like a $5 million+ sword. And with that, I want to tell everyone here a story. My grandfather is an American hero, Captain Clifford S. Britton. He fought the Japanese in World War II. As much as I like, Japanese culture and all this stuff, there's no denying the Japanese were probably worse than the Nazis during World War II. If, best case scenario, every bit as evil. So my grandfather fought them in the Pacific, and oh my God, he would take a single engine plane and fly over the Japanese lines, and he called them field goggles, binoculars. He would fly the plane himself, spot with the binoculars, and write it down on a map as he was flying, being shot at, turn around and go tell the artillery where to shoot. And then he would go into battle and fight hand to hand. He survived shrapnel Some of it got into his head, into his brain. He got epilepsy. It developed after the war. The story Death of a Salesman is basically about my grandpa's life. He was a traveling salesman. He worked for, I don't know, I think he sold ladies' handbags and gloves, like women's accessories. But the company just like chewed him up and spit him out. And like, again, like Death of a Salesman. It's my grandfather's life story. He would have these terrible seizures and drive off the road and crash his car, and my grandma would have to go drive 3 states away to go pick him up. Anyway, during World War II, he killed an officer in the Japanese army, and he took the officer's sword. And the Japanese did a lot of nationalistic promotions. People that came from aristocratic families might get a cushy job in the army. They would also take the family sword into battle with them. Oftentimes, these swords were passed down from generation to generation to generation. Well, again, my grandpa killed this guy and took his sword and took it home. And my grandma hated the Japanese. The first time, one of my most vivid memories of her, I loved her to death. She was like, growing up, she was my best friend. She raised me, she's why I have my sense of humor. But my God, did she hate the Japanese. The first time she ever saw one of my Pokemon cards, I don't even want to repeat what she said. It was bad. And my mom afterwards was like, Marilyn, he's 9. The war was 50 years ago. Supposedly, she told a lot of tall tales. Supposedly, she had a fiance that was killed in Pearl Harbor, and she met my grandpa after the war. Anyway, so she didn't like the Japanese. If she knew that I majored in Japanese studies, she would turn in her grave. But luckily, she was cremated, so no turning for grandma. She came across this sword that my grandpa had taken from an officer, and she threw it away. And potentially, that sword could be worth millions of dollars. She threw it away. So, bummer. And that, dear viewer, is my little spiel on samurai swords.
And that's the magic of samurai swords. I'm someone who should be trusted with a weapon.
Well, just like that, it is the end of the day and the end of the episode. If you guys like this video, be sure you give it a thumbs up. Hit that notification button so you know when new episodes of Pawn Man are coming out. Become a Pawn Man Patreon. Every dollar helps. Get my books on Amazon. Follow me on social media @EvanKale, @Pawn Man, and I'll see you guys back here for another episode of Pawn Man. Later, guys.